Welcome to another styling video. This is one I have been looking forward to for a long time because I'm going to be doing box braids on my hair. And I'm going to be doing everything with no addition, so it's all my own hair. I already went ahead and sectioned off everything, so this is kind of what the front is looking like, the top, the back here. I did not show that process on camera because it took me about an hour to section off my hair, and this is while it's in a blow-dried state, and I'm happy with how clean I was able to get the initial partings, and then I'm going to go in from there and make other partings, and I am going to try and make them as clean as possible, but we'll just see what happens. I have done box braids on myself before when I had blonde hair, and you can find the link to that video right here. And that time I had worked on hair that still had partings from cornrows that I had done previously, but this time I blow dried my hair and I took my time and I really parted everything as best as I could. The lines aren't perfect, but they are good enough, because I find if I don't have clean lines when I'm doing my hair, then strands get crossed over and then they snap, and I don't want to break off hair that wasn't ready to naturally shed anyway. The products I'm going to be using are the setting styling lotion and some grease for moisturization and shine. Yeah, we're just going to get to it. So we're going to start with this back section. It made a cute little curl that of course is immediately dropping. All right, so this section is so small and thin. I was thinking about just doing two, but I think it's gonna look a little strange. So I am going to divide this into three and do 3 braids at the back here and then just do my best. These 3 braids in the back are gonna be super small and skinny, and that's just how it is, but I'll show you what I'm gonna do here. First, I'm gonna start with just a tiny pump of the setting lotion, just a little bit, and run it in here. I think I could probably use a little bit more. So what this does is it helps give my hair some moisture, but it also helps give my hair some holding power. And as I run my hands through here, it dries so quickly that it doesn't revert, which is why I really like that setting lotion. Other setting lotions I have tried do just make my hair sticky, but this one, it keeps it soft and flowy. And you can see it already even gave it more length, because it's just kind of actually straightening out as I do this, kind of like using tension. Then the next thing I'm gonna do is use some grease. Not a lot, just like a little dab, just a little dab of grease. Just put it right at the roots, and then that's gonna get worked into my hair as I come down here. So let me turn around and show you the first. Once I have that base there, then I'm just gonna keep coming down all the way. And I'm trying to keep them roughly even, because if you have braids that aren't even and they're tiny like this, it becomes very, very difficult to take them out later. And I could theoretically do twists. It would make them a little bit more bouncy, but I did twist a lot last year in blown out styles, and so I really want to do more braids. Now I will, when I get down to a certain point here, let's see, how far down do I want to go? I think about here is good. I'm just going to combine that, and then I'm going to twist all the way to the end. Because again, taking out tiny little braids at the end is crazy. So twists is the best way to do that. And also I did go ahead and brush out all of my hair earlier so that it was as smooth and as tangle-free as possible. And then I'm just gonna curl that, and because it's such a small end, it's gonna stay, and I don't have to do anything to the ends. I was thinking of adding a little gel to make them curly ends, but I'm just gonna leave them be, and if I change my mind later, I can do that. All right, so same exact process for these 3. that is the first 3 done. And yep, I was originally gonna do 4, and I had tried some braids earlier in the week, and I was like, yeah, no, 4 is gonna be way too skinny, and I'm never gonna be able to get them out. So they're very, very small. If I had done this on wet hair, they would have shrunk up and given me more fullness, but I did want to get the length. I am pretty happy with the length of these guys so far. And like I said, this is great to use on the hair without reverting it. It's gonna keep them moisturized. The grease is gonna keep them shiny. You can see that, like, that's a pretty substantial section. If I made them any smaller, they would be micro braids. So this is the size I have to go with. Just briefly popping back on to show you what I'm doing. Once I separate out what I want, then I'm just using clips so that I can have each section delineated off until I'm ready to work on it. Here's a little check-in of how the back is looking. As you can see, when I got here, I tried to have some parts down the middle so I don't have a middle part. And yeah, really liking how it goes. Can I tell you how happy I am that I have made it to the front? I can actually see my line now, and I don't have to use the mirror to part. I'm like holding my arm and doing this, and like, yeah, I do need a 3-way mirror at some point, but I've been managing so far, and it's going pretty good. We finally made it to the last one. I am so happy. I have been working at this for quite some time. The last little squirt. I am surprised that even though I had a very little amount left of that foaming setting lotion, that I was able to get through so much of my hair without having to open the new one. So I'm just kind of putting the grease right here. All right, and my hair just feels so soft and smooth at the front. There were a couple areas in the back where it was still a little rough, so I just went ahead and I cut those. Just some small little snips, like 1/2 inch or so, because you know, when you trim your hair, sometimes you don't get all the internal sections. So something like this is great because it helps me, I can really feel each little part that I missed before. And my hair feels in such better condition than it did for the very first time that I did braids. Like, I remember taking them out. There were knots in my hair, probably in this section, all the way up to here. And I would have had to cut up to here to get them all out. And now they are contained at the very last 1/2 inch at the ends. My hair has come such a long way. Ta-da! And we're done. Now this part is sticking out a little bit. I can just put that behind my ears. Same thing with this. And the reason, let me actually take this off. The reason why it ended up, this part is like pretty thick. I could have divided this into 2, but I find that it actually really bothers my hairline if I do that. So I've just gone ahead. This part, I just didn't quite do it correctly. So I am gonna just leave this on until it kind of pulls down. But anyway, I didn't want my hairline to feel like it was, like the hairs here are too fine and too fragile. So I just had this as one large section. Now, if I made it too large, it would be an issue, but if I made it too small, then, I mean, you can see, even though this is just one section, like, look how thin this braid is. And if I were to divide that in half, it would just be so tiny. So I just wanted to make sure I had at least some thickness to go with the length. So yes, we are done. These are my braids. I love them so much. And I did a really good parting in the back so I don't have like a weird middle line. They're so good. And I really liked using the grease on my hair, because in the past, if I put grease on wet hair, it becomes difficult to work with. But on the blow dried hair at the roots, and then as I was working down, it came down. Oh, that was just really nice. And I took my time and really parted everything as cleanly as I possibly could. I'm not saying the lines are 100% straight, sometimes they're a little jagged, but it is clean so that I didn't like snag any hairs, which I'm really happy about. I know one side is slightly longer than the other, but I think this side just grows longer. Every time I try to cut it to even it out, I end up cutting too much on this side, and then I am taking away from my length. So I don't want to do that. So we're just gonna live with this side being longer. I have been saving doing a lot of braids because I wanted to do this. This took a very long time. I started around 3 and it's almost 6, and that doesn't include the time for parting, which was like an hour. And I had to stop every single time I wanted to part a new section. So what I would do is I would part the section and then I would go through and section it all off and then work on that section instead of doing one braid at a time. So I did like one section at a time. And I think that worked really well. I took breaks, I had some water. This is it from the front, of course. And then let me show you the side. A lot of times when I do my hair on the side, it looks weird because I got like one long part somewhere. But because of how I parted my hair, like there's a part coming down here, like if you really look, sometimes there's like a line, but I was able to kind of bricklayer some of the parting so it's not like a harsh line going all the way up. Let me show you the other side. It's the same thing, like there's kind of a line, but like when my hair is over, it hides it, and also it's a little bit bricklayered at the top, which means I can just wear my hair down, which sometimes when I do braids and I have like this ear to ear parting, which is the easiest for me to part ear to ear and then down the back. Today I was very careful not to part down the back so the ear to ear isn't as harsh. But that is something that makes it hard for me to like wear braids out if I only do a few, and I always have to do like a style like this to hide it or do a half up, half down. And this is the best part of it for me because I did 3 here and then 5 and then 5 and then 4 at the top. So what I've ended up doing is making sure that I don't have a line down the middle, which I'm really happy about. I'm definitely gonna keep this for at least a week. I'm hoping maybe 2 weeks since I put the grease in. We will see how it looks. But yeah, this is just, oh, it's so much fun. I love it so much. I have been dreaming about doing these braids for like 6 months and it is finally here. So now that I've done these, I think I am gonna do a lot more braid styles. I wanna experiment a little bit more with cornrow braids and doing all that kind of stuff because I really do love how cornrow braids look. So I might do some more just like on wet hair, or I might blow out my hair and do it that way as well, just to see. But yeah, these braids I am so happy with. I was contemplating doing like curly ends, but I decided not to do that because my braids are small enough that they will hold together at the end. And if I see any that are coming apart, I'll just take them and I'll just go like that and we will be good. Ideally in the future, I would like to have somebody else do this for me because this was a lot of time and effort, but prove to myself that I can do it all by myself and it looks super good. Thanks for watching. It's day 4 of me having these braids and I really love them. The grid pattern is still looking good and they are just so soft and flowy and comfortable. The little curly ends to kind of coil up on their own a little bit extra with the humidity. I'm really loving how they look. They look like the braids you used to see in the 90s, perfect for summer. Your head can be cool, but you can still have your hair down.